What's up, guys? It's Lore at the Halo Collective, and now that the Warzone Firefight Beta is over, I figured I would give my suggestions to, I guess, improve the mode. And let me just say right now, I love what the beta was, and to be honest with you, most of the things I'm about to suggest are pretty, not minor, but they're, like, I have no real problems with the mode. There are things that I think could be improved, some new objectives that could be cycled out or added, stuff like that. But for the most part, I think this beta really nailed it. In terms of, like, a beta, this was fantastic. And if they were to ship this as the final mode, obviously with other maps and stuff, but I would be satisfied. And what excites me is that this was only the beta. That makes me even more excited, because that means that moving forward, they're going to take our feedback on the already awesome beta, and they're going to make something even better with it. So, without further ado, the first thing I would suggest to fix would be the way that enemies from the last wave, like, kind of poof away. And I really think that kind of sucks, because, like, it forces you to tunnel vision the objective a bit. So, like, let's say there's an elite boss surrounded by jackals and grunts and stuff. If you double plasma pistol charge shot him and then hit him with a magnum, he dies, and then, like, you don't have to worry about his lackeys for, 3 seconds, because after then, they'll just poof and explode and die. And I think that isn't good. I think what they should do is they should make it so that when the objective is completed, any enemy AI that are still there, stay there, and they'll only, like, go away after you kill them. So I think this would be good, because basically what this would do is it would encourage you to kind of spread out your forces and kill as many AI as possible, instead of only killing the one that gets you the round. So it would encourage you to clean up, because if you don't, then the next wave's going to be even harder than it would usually be, because you have leftover ones from the last round you have to take care of, So I think that would be a lot better than the thing they had now, where they just poof. And they could maybe even have some behavior changes when the round ends, like maybe all the leftover AI from the previous round could all regroup and, like, move in one force over to the objective and help the new AI defend it, you know what I mean? So it's stacking onto that force. Or, I think that would be really cool. So, that's my first suggestion. My second, I think there needs to be some sort of tweaking with how vehicles work, because like I've said before, I'm a huge vehicle guy, and I noticed that whenever I bought a Wraith or a Scorpion, or a Banshee even, a lot of the objectives became exponentially easier. Like the Wardens, if you have a Wraith or a tank, it's a lot easier than if you don't. And, like, I know the Wardens have the EMP laser, but still, it's just, like, there doesn't really seem to be a good balance to vehicles yet. So I think how they could remedy this is maybe have, like, have some more grunts or elites with fluoride guns or plasma casters, or, more knights with incineration cannons that they use to charge shot, because those do pretty good damage on vehicles, both of those. And, I just think it would help keep vehicles in check, I guess. They wouldn't make them useless, but they wouldn't make them so good to the point where it's like, oh, we have a tank, we'll win because we have a tank, and they can't do anything. So I definitely do think vehicles need to be toned down a little bit. Just a little bit, though. I don't want them to be, like, hard to use. Third thing, I would love to see some sort of hybrid between the two factions, because I really think that certain aspects of the Covenant would work well with aspects of the Prometheans. Like, I think it would be so cool to see Watchers and Elites working together, like Watchers recharging their shields for them in combat, and, like, throwing down that hard light shield in front of them, or grunts and soldiers, crawlers and jackals, Hunters and knights. Can you imagine fighting a group of hunters working with knights? Holy shit. That just sounds like it would be awesome. And I think if they were to introduce some sort of hybrid mentality where instead of only spawning Covenant or only spawning Prometheans, in certain special waves, they throw both of us, or both of them at us at the same time. And I think that would be really interesting because you no longer only fight one type of enemy, you are fighting two different factions at the same time, so it really causes you to rethink your playstyle. Let's see. Okay, and then I had this idea earlier today, and I think it would work really good. So basically, I think the one thing Warzone Firefight lacks is like a truly strong defensive objective. Like I was saying at the beginning of the video, I think there are some objectives that are a little too offensive and need to be cycled out because Firefight is a defensive game type. So naturally, I think most of the objectives should be defensive. But I think that the core in the home base is the perfect objective for a wave. Maybe the final wave, whatever. Where it's a lot like Halo Reach's generator defense, where you had to defend the generators from the Covenant. I think this could work really well in Halo 5 by having Covenant and Prometheans spawn outside of the doors, and then your goal is to basically prevent them from getting inside the core room and blowing up the core. And I think my other idea of having Prometheans and Covenant working together could work here, especially. You could have, like, the left side of the core base is getting invaded by Prometheans, and the right side is getting invaded by Covenant, and you have to work together as a team and split up, and one of you has to go defend the Covenant side, the other has to go defend the Promethean side. And outside the base, like in Halo Reach's Firefight, they could drop support vehicles, like the Covenant could drop a Wraith that will bombard the area that's, like, by the doors to the base, or there's a Phaeton that kind of patrols the outside, and if anyone tries to rush out there, it'll start shooting hard light missiles at them, or something like that. I really think that would be interesting. And I'm going to go a step further and say, wouldn't it be awesome if we could actually play like a regular Warzone match against AI? Like, obviously no bosses, or no bosses for, like, them to kill either. So I would say they could knock down the victory point requirement to like 500, but still, I just think it would be so cool to have AI regularly spawn in to kind of like imitate how respawn works in Warzone. And you could have AI spawn, and like your team's objective is to core the enemy and capture all 3 bases and go kill their core, whereas they're trying to do the same thing to you. And I think it would be really cool because, like, every kill, well, see, because you wouldn't be able to do every kill that you got against them would be a point, but you could definitely, there's some way you could figure, like, every, I don't know, I guess there would always be some sort of, mini boss on the map, and if you killed him, you'd get 25 VP, and then every time they killed one of your guys, they would get a point, and obviously there would be a ton of AI, so it wouldn't be like you dying would be, something that wouldn't happen. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but in Warzone Firefight, even if I was wrecking shit, eventually something would end up killing me. And it happened at least, I'd say, several times a match. Probably at least 10, or not, if not more, times I died. Because just, it doesn't matter how good you are as a player, the AI in those numbers and with that programming can kill you. So, I mean, that's obviously probably not going to happen, but that's just kind of me using my imagination there. And the last thing before I go, I think that they could implement would be definitely need to have something besides the Warden. I honestly am pretty sick of the Warden as a boss. I mean, he's a good boss. I think for Warzone, I think he operates well. I think he's a good boss type, but I think the problem is they've pretty much used nothing but Warden in every Warzone map. And now there's 3 of him in Warzone Firefight. And I like fighting the Mythic Hunters purely because they're different than the Warden as a final boss. So I think, actually, I had this idea the other day. They could have the Didact as a boss. And here's how he would work. So he would have the Heartseeker incineration cannon and the Didact Signet scatter shot. And like the Warden, they would give him kind of a size boost so that he'd be a bigger target. And then what I was thinking is that maybe they could have him, because in the cannon, his armor actually can mold itself to resist whatever he's being hit by. So let's say everyone's hitting him with rocket launchers and tanks and stuff. Like, Palmer could call out, "Oh, Spartans, his armor is becoming resistant to explosives. Switch over to bullets, plasma, hard light, or, whatever." And then if you were to keep using explosives on him, you would be doing minimal damage. But if you were to switch over to your DMR instead of your rocket launcher, or your BR or assault rifle or anything that shoots bullets or plasma or hard light, you do regular damage. And then, a minute later, she'd be like, "Oh, his armor is becoming resistant to bullets. Switch over to explosives, plasma, or hard light, Spartans." And it'd be like, you'd have to attune your attack strategy to his armor. And then, of course, he would regularly spawn soldiers, knights, watchers, crawlers. And how I think this would work well is that I think that, let's say you're in a tank, okay, and he becomes resistant to explosives. I don't think that would make you useless, because you could switch over from doing damage to Didact. You could switch over and start doing damage to his lackeys, his knights, his soldiers, etc. And you could keep them at bay while your team focuses on Didact. And for Didact's powers himself, besides his weapons, maybe he could do some sort of a... Because I know he can apparently use the Force, according to Halo 4. Not really, but you know what I mean. So, maybe he could have this attack he could do where if you got too close to him, he could pick you up and throw you. And obviously he couldn't spam this, but it would be like a 30-second or 20-second recharge or something, or... or he could do the same thing Warden does and launch some sort of energy ball, or... I don't know. But I just feel like Didact, with those mechanics, would be a super fun boss. And maybe not even just for Warzone Firefight, maybe for regular Warzone too. That's a good boss idea. I think Didact as a boss with those mechanics might be a really good thing. And I might be wrong. I don't know anything, because I'm not the one who's playtested Warzone countless times like Lawrence Metten has and the Warzone team at Halo 5, but I do think that Halo 5 needs new boss types, and putting a soldier and a mantis doesn't count. It's not different, because we've all fought mantises before. It's just another mantis. I want, why not have a phantom boss? That would be cool. Or maybe, like I said, Didact, phantoms, you could do enforcers, hell, dude, even just fucking port over enforcers from Halo 2 Anniversary. I'd be completely okay with that. That would be awesome. Or maybe Sentinels in some way, or maybe Brutes. You could port in the Halo 2 Anniversary Brutes. Port in Tartarus. Let us fight him. We need more bosses. So, Didact would be my leading candidate, but like I said, all those boss names I would be glad to have. So, anyway, that's my suggestions how Warzone Firefight could be better, and kind of Warzone in general with the boss things and stuff, but mostly Warzone Firefight. So, I just want to close this and say, Lawrence Metten and the other Warzone team guys, if you're watching this, dude, I loved Warzone Firefight in the beta, and I'm pretty sad it's gone, because I had a shit ton of fun playing it. So, yeah, I loved Warzone Firefight. Those are my ideas on how they could improve upon it and maybe expand it a bit as a mode. Anyway, make sure you subscribe to the Halo Collective for news, media, and entertainment on anything and everything Halo.